Hi, and welcome to Ward 13. I'm John Hopwood, and this is Gonzo.
Hello.
And our guest today is Mike Lopez, who I'd like to thank you for doing some shows while I was in New Mexico.
Yeah, we had some good times.
And one of the reasons I asked Gonzo to be here is because we're going to talk to Mike, who was the chairman of the School Charter Commission, about the findings of the School Charter Commission and how we go forward. And since Gonzo here is a parent and I'm not, I'm of the. It's just I really don't follow it, Mike. I don't follow the school and the issues as much as I should. And I was actually surprised. We had Jim O'Connell last week, who is the school board member at large, and some of the stuff he said to me was surprising. Like, Jim's opinion was that what the Charter Commission did is, moot at this point.
Well, to a point, he's correct. I mean, the Charter Commission is ended, and we
Right.
turned our final report in September 9th with some recommendations on how to go about it. It'd be totally up to the aldermen as to either accept our recommendation or make their own recommendation in order to move forward.
Right. Now, originally, the School Charter Commission and everybody was under the impression, because a law was passed up in Concord, that you were going to be able to make recommendations and they were going to be on last November's ballot. But the Attorney General of the state of New Hampshire had other ideas, did he not?
Oh, you most certainly did.
He's now the Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court. But what happened? Because it was rather surprising.
Well, his argument was that in the city charter, because we have one charter in the city of Manchester that has a paragraph for the schools,
Right.
which is section 4. And his determination was there was nothing in that particular section to authorize any changes to the schools. And so therefore, we had to develop a paragraph in the city charter, which was passed by the voters by 31,000
Right.
votes, to authorize the school board, not the school board, but authorize the citizens of Manchester to change different subjects in the school section for the city charter. Example would be, right now the mayor is the chairman of the school board.
Right.
Okay. After we went through the process of listening to everybody, it was unanimous that the school board will select their own chairman.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be the mayor. And that was a major thing that a lot of people wanted. Manchester Proud wanted that. And so there was actually that was the first thing that we all agreed to, period.
Did they end up moving on that? Did they change
Well,
it?
yeah, we did. We made our final report on September 9th is 4 recommendations that we should send to the voters.
I remember it was a big deal. There were signs everywhere. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's totally up to the aldermen at this stage of the game. They have the authority to take our recommendations and put it on the November ballot. 4 major changes.
So you probably thought going into it you had a little more power than just you're the guys who recommend something now.
Well, I think we thought, and I don't want to say thought because we knew we had the power because we were elected as a charter commission under
Right.
49. And under 49, you can do just about anything. RSA 49.
Right.
That we were elected by, so we could have done it. And the argument too, our lawyer said we could fight it, but when would you get a decision? So it wasn't worth the effort of fighting it. So we just made the one change, so that gives the authority to move forward on any changes for the schools.
Without having to go with a vote from Concord.
That's correct.
Now, with reading it, I guess they distinguished the Manchester Charter and the school board, which in the city charter, which is what they have the booklet, it's got to be over 80 pages. There is just 1/4 of a page about the school board, where Concord had its own school charter. So they were making a distinction. Well, that's what lawyers do.
Well, I think it was a big mistake too. in taking Concord's charter and trying to look at what we were trying to accomplish under the existing charter, because and the conflict is we only have one charter in the city.
Right.
Okay. And the Attorney General made his decision. We abided by it, and it's been approved. Now we can make changes. You still have to go through a process.
Right.
It's not just that, hey, you're going to put anything you want on it, because I can tell you from looking at what the school department has to go through. They have about 4 pages of RSAs that they got to comply with.
Yes.
So it's a big thing on us.
Why does Manchester seem so unpopular at the New Hampshire executive level? Like Concord just doesn't seem to be on board with Manchester. We're kind of just pushed aside. You do your own thing. Does it feel like that? Like we don't get the help from the State House?
I think what Gonzo's saying is when I got here and started talking to people, when I was writing about local politics, people that were in the state legislature said there is a tremendous amount of hostility towards Manchester.
Or the governor in general, too. I don't feel like he's a very big fan of Manchester.
Education all the way around. And there's some court cases going on now.
We've had Claremont going on
Claremont
forever.
going on. I personally believe, and it's just my personal belief, that there has to be more. Everybody tries to comparison Manchester with an outlying area
Right.
that's a rich community and say, well, they give $20,000, $30,000 to the schools. They got one school.
Right.
We got 21.
Right, we're not Brentwood.
Right. You're right.
Or Amherst.
And so, when it comes to education, I had a conversation a long time ago. The state has to do more. They have to control it a little bit better, because we have the bulk of everything.
Yes.
And so, everybody say, well, we should get more money from the taxpayers because we have. No, the state should step in and give us more money, and the federal government should give us more money.
It's not weighted. It's not weighted hard. Like they're not taking all that Manchester takes on. I mean, look at the homeless thing. Jeez. They send them over to us, and they're like, "Well, where's the extra cash?
Yeah.
Where's the extra money for it?"
Excellent point.
Excellent
point.
That's what I mean. I don't feel like Sununu is a huge. I think it's kind of like, oh God, what are they up to now?
Well, yeah, it's counting the votes, and the North Country got the votes.
Oh, yeah, because of the way the legislature is. But in many states, a place like the biggest city often gets extra aid because of the burdens it carries. Because I remember when I first got here, Joe Lavassa was always saying, oh, they ship all these people to Manchester. And I remember this was before I went out about 2014 to try to interface with homeless veterans. Indeed, a lot of them, there were people from Maine and from all other places. But
It's about 75% are not from Manchester right now.
But that's a different issue. The issue, but of course, we have to then, homeless children, we're responsible for educating them. But it seems like the legislature, what Bill Barry always told me, when we get law enforcement money, like federal money, you have such problems in the city of Manchester, but every community, like the North, wants their chunk of it,
Oh, yeah. And from what I understand, there's quite a few homeless kids in the city of Manchester.
Well, yeah, and they don't have a facility, so if someone's...
Well, they don't get money for it.
If someone wants to get help, what their resources are is a Greyhound ticket.
Wow.
Or an Uber ride from Nashua.
And you get one crack at it, and then, a lot of addiction doesn't lead to instant recovery, so they end up on Elm Street.
Right. But getting back, when you get back to the Charter Commission, what it was accomplished was question 1, gave local authority, home rule to Manchester, that the Board of Aldermen could make suggestions and can vote and put the 4 recommendations of the Charter Commission or their own recommendations on the ballot. And that doesn't have to go through Concord. Concord can't veto it. They have to be congruent. It has to ally with state law.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why it has to go back to the Attorney General's office.
Right.
Just to look at the writing and what's going to go on the ballot so it doesn't conflict with state law.
rather surprising because I used to be a legal editor at Oxford University Press, and I remember doing the Alabama Constitution, the longest constitution in the world, over 350,000 words. They regulate everything down to disposal of animal remains, and they say that's from the end of the Reconstruction era because there were towns that were African Americans actually had their own towns, so they didn't want them to have power. I was surprised by the lack of home rule in New Hampshire. But if you want to call it that.
If you want to call it that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing, to me, home rule. I mean, you still have to go through the process, and they can stop you at the pass if they want to.
Does this discourage the school board members, knowing that their power is a little diminished?
Well, I don't believe it. This is my own opinion, because the Charter Commission doesn't exist anymore. I was the chairman of it, but I speak for myself at this stage of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I believe what we did, and I can tell you that the amendments that we came up were unanimous to except for one. In the end, was the some people wanted the 10 votes from the school board to send a request over to override the tax cap to the aldermen, and some wanted 8. Well, I originally wanted 10, but I switched over to 8 to move it to the next stage.
Yeah.
And to me, 8 or 10 doesn't make any difference. The authority lies with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Now, some people don't agree with that. They want autonomy. They want to be able to tax the city of Manchester for everything that they need. Well, I don't particularly subscribe to that. You know.
That's last week. Jim O'Connell was of that opinion.
Yeah, he's of that opinion. He's the indication that, which is correct. We don't exist. It's totally up to the aldermen as to what they want to do.
Right.
You know?
Well, people don't realize how important the aldermen are, and that's why if they're not getting out and voting, it's that election's more important than the presidency.
In some ways.
Because if you want something
Not
to happen,
last time.
it's those guys, it's those 12 people that do it.
14.
14.
Well, and the mayor's one, right?
No, 15.
Is she a tiebreaker?
The mayor is a tiebreaker, and
Which you
veto.
have to count for, though.
She can
Yeah.
veto. They need 10 votes to override a veto.
Here's the thing. What the issue is that one of the issues being addressed, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about the School Charter Commission, was there was a duplication of the budgeting process.
Oh, yes.
Because the school board would come up with it, but then they come up with their budget, and then it goes to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and then they go through their budgeting process.
I spent 12 years as an alderman.
You were also the chairman of the
And
board.
chairman of the board. I can tell you in that 12 years, one time, one mayor wanted to give the school department less money than the tax cap, let's say, for an example. And that didn't happen. We ended up. Here's the process. The mayor makes the recommendation. Usually the recommendation in this case is either the tax cap recommendation or a little bit more money. I've never seen the school get less than whatever the mayor made a recommendation. And as I said, one time, one mayor decided he was going to give less money than the previous year, and that didn't happen. The aldermen are too smart for that. Okay, you know, we're not there. The aldermen are not there to hurt the schools. The aldermen are there to look at the entire picture.
Does make your seat go a little higher, though, right? Because you know the buck stops here and the buck passes here. And
Well, it's like our federal system. The House of Representatives controls the purse strings.
Well, that you have to have something like that because, you know, I mean, here we got a police department of $21 million, a fire department of $21 million, you know, and I can remember years ago, you didn't know school board members, whether they were Democrats, Republicans, or anything. Now it's become
Highly politicized.
it really is.
politicized.
I mean, I'm not a politician kind of guy, but I can tell you most of the aldermen and a few board members, only because, you know, I'm paying more attention now. But I could see how the school board members would be kind of gazing at the aldermen and be like, one day I gotta get there, you know.
Some people, like
And it
Lou
does seem-
D'Alessandro's
it
on
does
the
seem to
school
be the
board. He
track.
didn't become an alderman.
It does
Maybe
seem to be the
senator.
path for some
Yeah.
people, though. Like,
Well,
wasn't our mayor
Some
currently?
people. Oh yeah, she
what
was
is she on the
was
school board?
Yeah.
Like,
And then she got on the very well, and that's when Mike used to do the budget, and she used to do the budget with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's good at it. There's no problem there.
The alderman's budget, because
Yeah,
you got the
but the
mayor's
school-
budget, the alderman's budget. You have 3 budgets really. School board has a budget. The mayor has to have a budget, which is tax cap.
but it's still the alderman.
And then the alderman, and the alderman budget is the one that
That's
Yeah.
they have the power. Of.
Yeah.
Is it 10 votes for a budget?
8?
Oh, it's only 8.
Does it give you a little wind
10
at your
is a-
sails when you're an alderman, though? Like you have, when you're a current alderman, does it give you a little pep in your step? Kind of, you know what I mean? Because you know, well,
That
you
might
know,
be a
you know,
bastard.
you have not power, but you know, you got a say in it. And
Well, I don't look at it as I don't think all the aldermen. It's not power.
because I never met you before, but I know the name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
you look at an alderman. They get a tough job because they don't look at. Yeah, I want to give everything to the schools. Well, okay, then what about the police department? What about the fire department? What about the rest of the city employees?
mhm.
I mean, the payroll itself is unbelievable in the city of Manchester.
And you got to take all those calls.
Well, you take all the calls, but I don't think anybody looks for power. It's like the school board. People that are elected to school board, they're into the educational aspect of it, and there's no doubt in my mind that every one of them believe in what they're doing. Okay, it's just that they have one area to look at. Okay,
Yeah.
and I believe when you look at the whole picture, I truly believe that they got to do some more managing a lot better than they do.
Do their job, like Belichick said. You're on the center. You're that. Everyone does that instead of kind of trying to do too much. Like,
Well, yeah, too much is no good.
Mike, I told Jim O'Connell this. The late Bill Cashin, who preceded you as chairman of the board, told me many times that 2 things: the mayor shouldn't be the chairman of the school board,
Right.
because it's just not what the mayor should do. And he said, he went back 32. If you put the 2 of you together, quite an era there. But he went back to 1969 or 70, and he knew many mayors. But he said the first mayor that really did anything was, of course, Bob. Why is his name escaping?
Bob Shaw?
Not Bob. No, Bob Shaw. You're thinking about
Baines?
Bob Baines,
Oh,
because
Bob
Bob Baines was an
He
educator.
was an educator.
But he said Ted Gatzis really wanted to, to manage, because Ted liked to manage. And he said it's
can't.
just not what a mayor does. And we had the president, who was in the came to visit him before he was president, and they were talking. Joyce Craig was there, and Joe Biden says, "The mayor." He says to Joyce Craig, "You're the head of the school board too," because he had been on the city council, which I'll never forget him saying that was the worst, is being in the Senate, even going up against Jesse Helms, is easier than being a city councilor. He said the zoning board was the worst. And they were all laughing. But
well, in your 12 years, do you think the board of aldermen and the mayor align ideology-wise with the school board? Like, do they vote the same way, or is there always pushing back?
Well, I think.
Isn't it easier when it's easier, though?
I think that they respect the school board. I always respected the people in the school board. They had a
Right.
job to do, and
it wasn't as political like when you were.
Yeah, it wasn't. Political to that extent.
Bill Kesh was always surprised. He'd watch, even subcommittee meetings about how politicized it became.
Right.
Like in the last some odd years.
If you put it in black and white, though, this is a direct saying that there's not enough faith in the people doing it to get this commission
No, that's the
going.
thing. This is all.
Well,
It's
I don't
just
think
kinda like,
there's
I don't
enough
like what's-
faith, but there's probably enough. There's not enough faith that they make great decisions.
This is
For an example, I'll give you a
Is this
prime.
unprecedented, though?
Let me give you a prime example. The headquarters for the superintendent,
Right.
they moved 5 times.
That's right.
Millions.
And a condo that was worth.
Yeah, millions. I mean, I think the condo is still there, and they haven't sold it yet.
Right.
I don't know the whole story there, but move Ash Street School. All they had to do was put $1 million into it, and they would have had a Taj Mahal.
But isn't that ultimately the aldermen that decide on
No,
that?
they're schools.
Well,
Okay.
let me get to Bill's second thing. Bill Cashin's second thing was that the board of the school committee has its function, and the aldermen it was his opinion that aldermen shouldn't interfere with it, because he said,
That's correct.
if the board of aldermen did micromanage that, it would be a full-time job. They just don't have the time. It's the school board's responsibility
Right.
to manage the schools. And, we come from New England, where we created public schools, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. And they've always been a part of the Constitution. Under the Articles of Confederation, the old Continental Congress, the first thing it passed was the Northwest Ordinance, which the first thing in the Northwest Ordinance, you will have public schools. And that was the first, under our own Congress, after the Constitution. They repassed it. Public schools. And in our Constitution, the state, it's a vital thing. The tension here is over money.
Money.
Because if you're on the board of the school committee, I would say you're right. These people, it's a thankless job, and you don't get paid hardly anything.
And you're doing the micromanaging, you're doing the research. It's like a...
Whatever you think about Art Beaudry and him overstepping his bounds, he was always involved.
He was always involved. He did his homework. He knew what he was talking about. And
on both sides of the aisle.
Most of the school board members, they're there. They know. I mean, they have some good people on the school board.
Yeah, of course. And it's got to be frustrating, though, that when you do all the work, you present it, and then someone's like, nah.
Well, sometimes you do.
I don't like it.
It's not. No, I don't think the aldermen do that. I never got involved in the curriculum or anything else. That's a school board function. I agree with Bill Cashin, the late Bill Cashin. Is that we got no business. If you want to be a school board member and you want to go make decisions, join the school board.
Right.
You have enough to do as an alderman. You cannot run the school.
Yet they do.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. They can't.
They only have the thing about the budgeting
budget.
process.
That's
And
it.
see, by having the aldermen redo the budget process, it's the duplication of effort.
Well, every time something comes out, the alderman didn't give us the money. That's the attitude of instead of standing up why we didn't give the money. Okay, but hey, if you get, I can remember when the budget was $96 million. Look at it today.
Mike, there was a headline in 1961 in the Union Leader where it says on the front page, under a thing where Bobby Kennedy, who was the Attorney General at the time, says a Negro will be elected president in 40 years. It says school board elects, and use the word elects, 71 teachers. But I guess in the old days they went down to even hiring and stuff. But
I
mean, teachers are leaving for sure. You see it
but
all the time.
For the sake of the public and you, since you want to talk a little bit about, and John mentioned it, the only thing that the aldermen do is to approve the budget.
Right.
Okay.
And it's either they approve the mayor's budget, and I can tell you 9 out of 10, they're going to approve the mayor's budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The mayor's budget for the schools.
Totally separate resolution. The minute the mayor gives the budget for the schools, if it, like I think it's within the tax cap now,
Yep.
the alderman could take a vote and say, here's your money.
Right.
If they wanted to. But they wait till May. The aldermen wait till May and June.
That's the crux of the matter. They wait too long, because I know some people said because we waited, forgot the money, we've lost some teachers.
Yeah, but under the what we have done is the budget is approved before May and April.
Right.
If the questions would go on the ballot. So.
I truly believe the teachers that leave are heartbroken over it. I think that if you're starting a family and you just got a couple, I don't know, it's got to be a tough decision, but people get mad at the teachers for leaving, but it's like you can't really blame it.
Well, I know some teachers that that did leave, and every one of them that did leave when I was there, and I don't know about today, but I would say that it's probably the same. Is they don't know the direction that the school board or the aldermen are going.
Right, we've had so many,
and so many of them say, well, I got another job over here getting $5-10 more an hour. I might as well.
It's like if you're hitting 400 all seasons, like, yo, you gonna sign me up for the next couple of years?
But let's
or what?
get back to, we're talking about the charter. I can see from you guys talking that if you're a supervisor, and we've had many, we've had a lot of supervisors in the last 10 years. If you actually have to go through that budgeting process, and they could give you the money at this time, and then there's this, because of the process, because the Board of Aldermen have to wait, it's a budget process, that's in the charter too, or state law, right? You have to wait, you have to have a public meeting, you go through this stuff,
Right.
and you're having sorts of troubles because you don't have the funds right then and there. That could be a reason to, not want to stick around.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, most people want to know what they're going to do by April or May.
Right.
School is ending. Am I going to be here next year, or do I go take another
That's
job?
right. It affects the
it affects
personnel management.
Personnel management,
Especially every 2 years.
Especially your younger people. Some of your older teachers will stick it out because they know they're not going to be laid off. But if you're a young teacher just coming in, you're the first to go.
Now,
Yeah, you're right.
you want to the majority of the commission, and there are people like you who was 12 years on the board, and at least you were the chairman of the board. Lou D'Alessandro, who was not only in the board,
They had
but a
Baines on
senator.
there. They had all the hitters.
Yeah, you had.
Oh, we had
Kathy Sullivan.
Kathy
you had
Sullivan.
John Clayton
John
was
Clayton,
vice
and,
chair. And then you had
even Will Infantine.
Will Infantine was on. And
Baines, Tim
right.
Baines.
You wanted to rationalize this, yet people started spinning that what you wanted to do was give the board of the school committee the ability to override the tax cap, which was the last. That's not even in the report or the recommendations.
No, it's not. It's just that people were out there. They spin it the way they want to spin
Right,
it.
they wanted to defeat question one.
I can tell you
It's
that
confusing. Vote no on one. It's like, wait, what am I doing? Voting. It's like it's hard to push that narrative.
But 31,000 people voted for it. It won overwhelmingly.
Yeah, and like I said, people kind of. I don't know if they just did it. Who knows?
No, I think
I
people
think
thought
it's just
about
giving the people the authority to move things forward. And it'd be like I said, we made 4 recommendations, change in the school charter, and the chairmanship, the committee's assignments. If a school board member, for an example, resigns, then the school board should be able to pick the next school board
rather
member
than an alderman.
instead of the alderman. You know.
Right, and it sounds like you guys are still kind of in the limbo right now. I mean,
Yeah, what's going on?
I don't
in-
think
Is there
we're
a
in
reason
limbo.
why you got-
We made our full recommendations to the board of mayor and aldermen because under state law they're the municipal officers of the city.
Right.
Okay.
They are, yeah, it's true.
And they make the decision. Now, the aldermen always have the option of putting something on the ballot. Okay.
yeah, they could just
Or
motion
the voters
it.
need. I heard one individual say, "Well, the alderman would never. If you went out and got the signatures, they have to put it on the ballot." Okay?
Right.
There's a state law about that. If you went out and got, I forget exactly what it is, 10% or 20% of the last election. I could be wrong on those numbers, but if you went out and got all the votes and you met by state law, the alderman can't stop it from going on the ballot. Okay?
Right.
It has to go on the ballot. And so if somebody wanted to do that, they can do it. They did that with the tax cap, That's how they got it on the ballot. So it's just one of those things. That,
Politics is you must seen it all, man.
well, not as some. Lou D'Alessandro have probably seen it all so, at the state level. So.
I mean, would you say things got done a lot easier when it wasn't everybody can just watch in their home? You know what I mean? Like, people are tuning in to see what kind of backgrounds the aldermen have in. It's like, it seems like
Meetings
before,
are shorter
when you
before they
could
put in
kind
the
of
cameras.
just, hey, put your arm around someone and say, yo, we talked about this, or something like that, like, real relationships instead of shouting, and then
Well, that's an interesting.
and then
Did you
going
have-
on the air on different formats and just dogging other people, like trying to pressure
You
other
did
aldermen.
you have stuff like that 20 years ago?
Well,
The nastiness.
I don't think we had the as much.
I hear that it wasn't. So.
It wasn't so back then. I can remember even before I was an alderman that it was a close knit decision.
Yeah, like Bill Cashin and Ray Wazorek.
Yeah.
And
Close. They're not close now, though, are they? They're not. They're not.
They
friends.
would fight
Well,
each
the
other.
thing
but were
is,
friends.
Today it's you can't meet. For an example, if we all sat on a committee, we couldn't meet.
Can't.
We can't meet
Oh, because of law.
because of state law and municipal
That
law.
is stupid.
No, because if we, let's say we were a 3-man committee, which aldermen have a 5-person committee. If we would actually get together, 3 people,
So,
we could make a decision on something and then
right
go to
know
a meeting,
law. Yeah.
right to know law,
Yeah,
So-
Lavasser's blown a few times.
There's no way people aren't communicating. Come on.
Yeah, but
Well,
that triggered a lawsuit over the gas station in Ward 6, remember? Because a certain alderman revealed that her and Lavasser had made up their minds. And that was
Right.
litigated for 2 years.
Well,
2
if you
years.
don't, he'll
Yeah.
pressure you on his TV show and like call you a coward. Like
Let's
he was
not
call-
talk about it.
But that's different kind of politics. No, that's
Well, once again, Bill
that's
Cashin said,
campaigning.
once they put in the overhead cameras,
once they
he
put
called
in-
Lavasser the actor.
The
he's
meetings,
acting.
before they put the cameras in, the meetings lasted an hour or 45 minutes.
Right, you watch the on Channel
Right.
97, and they're over.
Now it's all theatrical.
yeah. It's
because-
it's the most boring 4 hours, but I still don't change the channel. I can't even explain it.
No, you're waiting for something to
Yeah.
happen.
Well, that certain alderman, he once had the Channel 9 come in so he could say something outrageous
That's great,
about
though.
something.
That's
It
good.
isn't great. It's
So-
just disgusting. But,
Today it's a whole different ball game because
I think you have a crush.
how many
I
people
despise that
people
person.
go to the board of mayor and
It's a liar.
aldermen or school board and talk in public? Very few.
Right.
Well,
Or it's a
did Glenn R.J. Olette come back?
He holds the record.
Wait, was
Goes
he an
back to
alderman?
when you were-
He was an elected.
No,
alderman?
he talks at every meeting.
So they should have no access to. If they can't meet with their committee members, they shouldn't be allowed to talk about it on Facebook because that's influential too. I feel like because those constituents can now buzz their aldermen to the point of nauseam.
Freedom of the press, right? Freedom of speech.
Yeah, and
He's not talking to 3 of the committee members. He's not influencing the committee members.
He's not talking, but he's talking.
Well,
But and I don't even mind it. I hate boring is too boring for me. So if it's gonna
the way
Yeah.
this is interesting is because the way it's affecting moving forward on this process. Because, like we said, here's a grandstander saying that vote for question 1, which you're going to you're creating a process to override the tax cap, which wasn't true. But
no, it's just how people want to spin it,
right.
And I don't support the school board having the authority, not in Manchester, having the authority to override the tax cap.
In my
There should be a process, and the process is you think the people who went out and got the votes, and I'm not a favor of the tax cap, but it's in there. It's the law.
It's part of the law.
Part of the law. They went out and did it, and I can tell you from experience, it makes you think outside the box, and it makes you dig harder. And it's been good and it's been bad, So, but the tax cap is the cap. If somebody wants to change it, all they have to do is go out and get the votes and put it in there to eliminate the tax cap, or get the alderman to put it on the ballot.
and that's when people go, I know, man.
Well, in my
You know?
in my opinion,
Some people.
in my opinion, if you push like Jim O'Connor was saying, oh, we're not going to have the tax cap apply to us. If we spend too much money, they'll vote us out of office. That would be a way to get this defeated. Because
I think
in
so.
6,
I think so.
Ward 6, somebody from nowhere got elected, and he's holding up his signs
For
for
300
the aldermanic.
votes.
Defend the tax cap. the two things I learned from knocking on doors in Ward 10 and then it started out in Ward 10 when I ran for state rep, beaten by Tammy Simmons. But the two things people care about, taxes and crime. it doesn't change. You knock on the door.
So
Taxes
John
and
couldn't
crime.
get an alderman, so he just made up Ward 13. So now he's alderman of Ward 13.
All
Well, there used to be 14 wards.
Oh, yeah. There
Years
used to be.
Yeah.
I probably remember from when I was a kid.
There's
But,
some people that are solid. Like if they want to be the incumbent, they're pretty much gonna be. Like there's
Well,
a few names that really, it's gonna be hard to bump them
Let's
off.
talk like 5 more minutes about this, and then we can talk about Alderman at Large. Because when I ran for Alderman at Large, I put my name on I intended just to run for the Charter Commission, but I just wanted to bring up the issue. I think that we needed to reform
That's a
Alderman at
tall
Large.
task,
but-
John. Alderman at large.
Yeah, but
That's,
everything.
like,
The
hardest
tax
one to win.
cap. The tax cap was a tall. That was when Jeff Cassell started it. They had to they got thrown out by a court. Then they had to do it all over again. He tells me some stories about that. But he persisted, and then when he couldn't persist anymore, people took it up and got it. But Mike, just how do we go forward on this?
Well, the documentation going forward, the aldermen have to bring it up. Right now, it's tabled at the
Right.
aldermen. Of course, Barbara Shaw is not there. I don't know if she's still in the hospital or not.
She still is. She's
She
not gonna
is.
She wasn't at the meeting.
Yeah, it's too
Right.
bad. I
That's
feel
too
bad for her. But I don't
And
know.
Barbara was a former teacher and a state
Whatever they decide,
Yeah.
it's up to the alderman. The alderman can accept our 4 recommendations to change the school charter, which in my opinion brings everything in perspective for the schools and gives them everything that they want. And I do not believe in my heart that they'll ever come back and ask the aldermen for an override of the tax cap, because they will get more money from the federal government. They will
Right.
get more money from the state that does not have to go through the aldermen. And so, matter of fact, I think they just got $44 million for the next 2 years, plus another $58 million that Jim O'Connor was talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that because I don't know, but I just listened to what he said. So they will have plenty of money to do anything that they want to do. With the population, what they have to do is to manage. And I believe that Jim O'Connor said on the 19th of this month they're going to come out with major decisions as to what they have to make as far as closing schools.
Right.
This is what needs to be done.
Because no one's going to take them serious if they just sit back.
Well, the more money, I hope not, because the more money that they get and that they do nothing is not going to help them.
No kidding.
But
You
they
know.
are doing something. But is the school
But
board-
eventually the money gets trickled to something else.
Well,
'cause it's there.
Yeah, but they have trust funds. They could take. I don't know if it's $44 million or whatever the case may be. They could build those trust funds, and really manage the school financially. I mean, I'm sure Karen DeFrancis over there, she could do it.
Yeah.
She is a great
That's
great
still tough
financial.
when everyone's got to keep their seat every 2 years too. Like, so a trust fund it's great and all. If they knew they were going to be there 10 years, I bet that trust fund would be made.
Don't worry about whether you're going to be there 10 years. Worry what you do for the city of Manchester, and you'll be there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Make decisions for the city.
I will.
And that's the thing, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the 2 years. Well, the governor is elected for 2 years.
Yeah.
All
the
the
mayor,
state reps, mayor. So, you know.
senators.
Just go there and stop, worrying about whether you're going to be there in 2 years. Person gets elected for the money that he gets, to me, in my opinion, should do what's good for the city and his viewpoint after he has all the facts and make that decision. One of the prime things I ever did in this city was the deciding vote for the Civic Center.
Yeah.
And of course, you're going to have the opposition who's always going to say something, but you can't worry about that. You have to do what you believe in the end, what's good for the city of Manchester.
Well, it seems that if
Yeah.
they do get more of their independence, that would encourage them to indeed act and manage, because it would minimize some of the interference by the board,
Right.
about mayor and alderman.
No, it's true. You know,
I believe
so
everyone
anyways,
on the
to go back
Alderman
to
believes in Manchester. We're all in agreement.
Yeah,
there.
but that's not the point.
But you would, yeah.
Some
so
people
anyways,
have-
where we stand
yeah.
right now, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen could take the 4 questions that we developed as a charter commission and put that on the ballot for November. Simple process. If they don't want to do that, they want to put 1 question on, they can do that. They don't want to put any on, it's a waste of money
Right.
that the charter commission did.
And it kind of thwarts the will of the people because, in my
Right.
opinion, when the 31,000 people voted on question 1 to put the home rule, it was, I thought, the next thing we were going to vote on the 4 charter
I believe
amendments.
that's the way the people understood it myself.
How do we get the board to act on this?
Well, you got to call your alderman and tell them to put the 4 questions on the ballot.
Yes, we each have 1, and but we got 2 aldermen at large, and particularly 1 alderman at large that we won't mention his name. He has his own agenda, it seems. What do you think about? You were there when the.
not gonna
Well, you
answer
are.
this.
You were one of the. You were the second. You were the third person that was an alderman at large.
Second.
It was Danny and Rich Gerard, Danny O'Neill,
Rich
and then
Gerard.
Rich got defeated in the
And
mayor
then
election, and you got elected.
Right.
Right.
Well, no, I don't think Rich got defeated. He didn't run again.
Well, he couldn't run because he's running for mayor,
Oh,
and Bob
oh,
Baines
oh.
beat him 70 to 40, 30 or something,
Yeah.
or 60 to 40.
Now he's running for mayor again, right?
It'll be,
But anyways.
we aren't going to talk about that. We don't want to sour anybody's
Yeah,
stomachs.
right.
Now, what do you think about the? Do you think that the present system of alderman at large works, or would you like to see it amended somehow?
Oh, I would probably like to see it amended. I can tell you, I mean, it's a public document, so I can tell you that, for an example, and it never dawned on me because I was one in the original charter commission to change the entire charter back in 1998.
Yeah.
Where I wanted more aldermen at large. I actually wanted 6.
Isn't Nashua have more?
Yeah, they do. I think they have 6
Right.
at large. But we ended up with 2, so that's a compromise you make when you're doing things like that.
Do you think that alderman at large should be at large in the city or at large in a region? Because when I was put my name for alderman at large, it was just to bring up the issue. I think there should be 4, but I think they should be, like West Side, North End, South End, and Center City.
Well, I'll give you an example of what I feel today. Okay, and it didn't dawn on me until Dr. Gohart brought it to our attention.
Who's the superintendent?
He
of
was the
schools?
superintendent of schools, and he has a very valid point. You take a Ward 10 alderman, he has to get 50% of the vote
Right.
in order to win, right?
He has to get first past the post, right? He or she.
An alderman at large doesn't have to. He only can get 33% and win,
24, 25%.
right?
The number one leader in the large is people that don't vote that second vote.
Well,
It's like over 10,000
That's
votes.
another
Yeah.
problem that existed too. Is it was always the intention to vote for 2 aldermen at large, but it was never written that way.
Right.
So-
Well, a lot of people just don't vote for that second alderman at large.
Well, not only that, politically they say, give a bullet. Just vote for 1. Don't
Yeah.
vote for 2.
I know in school board elections, somebody that they voted somebody a bullet, and the other person who they thought would come through again didn't come through,
Right.
and was kind of shocked. We were all shocked by that one because give her a bullet. She doesn't need it, and
Right.
it didn't work out the way we
No,
thought
it
it was
doesn't.
going to.
And that should be changed a little bit. So, but anyways, they also have, if they decide to put these 4 questions on the November ballot for what the Charter Commission did for the city of Manchester, there's also another question: do you want to create another Charter Commission for the
Right.
entire city charter?
Now, do we have to have a charter commission every 10 years?
Don't
Do
have
we
to,
have
but
to?
you have to put it to the voters.
You have to put it to the voters.
Yeah, if the
Okay.
voters say no, then the process works.
Now, the last charter commission, the one that was in like 2013, they spent a lot of time on the school doing school board issues and trying to address them. But then everything got voted down.
Got voted down because some other issue.
There were so many things on the ballot,
Right.
and you had to vote for them all. Remember that one?
Right.
So, and then none of the aldermen bothered to even campaign for it. I'll never forget that because I started local. Nobody is talking about the issue. And the one thing about your school charter commission, to vote for this, you've already done the work.
We've done the work. It's all done. It's all spelled out. It can be given to the public. The technical questions of 4 questions is the different things. For an example, when you're talking about the chairman of the board and appointing
Right.
committees, it might be in one paragraph. We got about 15 different things, but it's all condensed into 4 different questions that pertain to the charter. So, you're talking about vacancies on the school board, which I mentioned earlier.
How to fill them in.
Yeah, how to fill them. If somebody resigns, let the school board appoint the next school board
But
member.
there's always going to be pushback from someone about something.
Well,
But the rule is the rule, and it seems to be
I mean, it's a public.
old news after a while.
If people vote for this, this is a new time too. You need.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense for
For the
why would an
alderman.
alderman pick it?
Well, because there's nothing in the charter.
And
Right.
this is a
and,
nonpartisan
and what are you
job,
going to
too,
do?
right?
There's nothing in the charter.
There's
about
nothing
the
in the
school, how
charter
to
giving
pick
the
one.
school board
Like the mayor
authority to do it.
You wouldn't want the mayor to do
Right.
it. Right.
So-
And the board of mayor and aldermen votes on it. Where with this, if they change it, it would be the school board.
And I think in a way the Attorney General helped us with the process here too, because it gave us a mechanism within the city charter now that when you want to do something for the school board, you go through that process, and you can vent it out through the proper state authorities and bring it back down and put it on the ballot. It might be an item that you want to add to the school section, that we might have forgot, or whatever the case may be.
I'm going to ask a question that I bet a lot of people at home are wondering, because you can look up the mayor's salary. I can't find a thing about alderman's salary. Do
Aldermen
they
get
make
4 or
nothing,
5
or do they get paid a
Yeah.
full-time wage?
4 or 5.
Alderman gets $5,000, and plus
A year? That's
Yes.
it?
$5,000 a year, and
That's not
they
much.
also get medical benefits if they want it.
If they
Free
want.
parking, right?
Yeah,
It's not talking about.
and the school board gets, I think it's $2,000.
It's 2,000. So
2,000.
that's why people
There's a
that
problem
do
with
get
it.
on that really are
That's not a
generally
money
dedicated
maker,
to
though.
that.
Yeah, it's not a money maker. That's not
It's not a
motivation.
moneymaker.
Well, there's a saying, somebody, I can't remember, said that if you were going to have the alderman take on the school board, they should be given a full-time salary like the mayor, because your whole life is going to be
Or just
absorbed
be a
by it.
personal injury lawyer.
Let me go through a couple here. Like I said, the vacancies on the school board, the chairperson of the school board to be able to do appointment.
They would vote on this. They
Yeah.
would vote.
Appointment to standing committees, authority of the school board to be the governing body of the schools, district officer and bonding. They'd have to work out the bonding because they got to pay
Right.
for it. They couldn't change the superintendent of the schools because that's under state law, that the superintendent, what his job is.
So that's still the board of aldermen.
Well, no, that's under state law. You can't, see, under state law.
Who
there-
hires them?
Well,
Oh,
we
they had
hire
the-
them. I mean, we
yeah,
hire
they had the
there's
search
certain
committee.
things, but I'm just saying there's certain requirements under state law that the superintendent, you can't take that authority away from him. He's the superintendent of the schools.
Because the Manchester School District is a legal entity. It exists.
Corporation, right?
It's a corporation, right?
Right.
A public corporation.
Right. So,
And that person is the head of it.
and the biggest one is the
I
school
can't
board.
even remember who picks the superintendent. I've seen 4 of them come and
Well,
go.
the school board picks the superintendent.
School board, that's
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
and they
the
vote on it.
They had people go and find some people, and they interviewed them, and Art Boldry was one of the people.
Yeah.
So, and, he was very tough in his questions too, and I give him credit for it,
That scare them off.
Yeah. The independent audit, that's under state law.
Right.
They pick out where they're going to put their money, in what bank.
So state law, they have to conform to state law.
Oh, yes.
So they're going to be a disciplined body
Oh.
that has to, obey the law.
You know,
It's not like by voting on this that the school
See, all
committee
that-
can go rogue and do what they want.
you got
Yeah,
all
I've
those regulations for the schools. So, and that's why the school board, they can't do a lot of things that they want to do because
Right.
state law dictates as to how they're going to do it.
Do you think they asked you to do this because you got a good reputation in town and you could pull some?
Well, he was elected,
Well, I was elected.
Well, this
and then he was made the chair by the
I've been
people.
on a charter commission, on 3 charter commissions. And the biggest one was in 1998 when we revised the whole charter. Because the commission structure were in charge of the departments, and that was a big problem, in my viewpoint. Today, you got, the only ones you got is the Manchester Housing Authority and the MTA.
And the airport authority, right?
They have full authority over those departments.
So do you think you're running uphill, or you got some wind at your back? Are you feeling good about this, or you?
Oh, I
kinda
feel
iffy?
perfectly good about this last charter commission.
Good.
We had a bunch of guys on there with different viewpoints, and we talked, and I can tell you that majority was voted on unanimously. There was a couple items like I indicate as to
Yeah, there was a consensus.
after we vented everything out, and even if you look at some of the minutes, some of the people who made good comments, I don't want to mention any names, but they made people today that are saying things are not totally facts or true.
Right.
They made good comments on how great this commission was and the good work that we did. So
The thing now is to start getting a conversation going.
you got to get a
Yeah.
conversation going, and Pat Long is the lead person on the board of mayor and aldermen because he was the one that got the state law change, House Bill 544, in order to create and move forward just with the schools. So it'd be up to him to move forward and get the votes to try to put the questions that he participated in. He participated in coming before the commission quite a few times. And I think personally...
You guys took testimony from a lot of people,
Oh, yeah,
too.
absolutely. We took
I mean,
testimony.
there's a good transcript.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
read it. It's a lot. It's word verbatim, and it's just.
Right up your alley, John.
Yeah, I've read so
mean,
much stuff.
we-
Comes out.
I mean, you have to have a lawyer and everything. It's not
Yeah.
just.
Oh, yeah,
It's
you've
not
had the
simple,
opinions.
If it was simple, anybody could do it, but it's not.
Because one of the things you might react, well, why is the New Hampshire Attorney General getting involved? Because otherwise you could get sued. Somebody might file a lawsuit. The commission, this is invalid and violates state law.
That's
Do you
correct.
think
So this was a
change
collaborative process.
Right.
when people's 8-year-old is all of a sudden 13 years old and they get a little more skin in the game? It seems like you can kind of see the aldermen with children in school, and you can kind of see a couple hesitations. Like for instance, Hillside, the junior high school is getting 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Now they're like, oh, wait a minute, I have a 6th grader.
Well, it's like, there was always
You
one
know?
to close West High, and then Bill Cashin, who was West High.
It
just
is
I
what
was.
it is. I mean,
Nope, and
everyone's
they have
gonna-
a cartoon where they're he's in front of the door. And then Keith Hirschman was in my same class. Keith, if you're going to get rid of West, no way.
You go to Webster to
Yeah.
Hillside, that's a big jump at 6th grade.
Yeah, well, that's neighborhood schools, but schools are, like Jim O'Connell was saying, are different now that people are going to be able to take classes from the different high schools. If you're at MST and Memorial, education is changing.
They really should
It's
focus.
changed a
Well,
lot.
I think this
They
remote.
should have majors, is what they should have.
Virtual and all that is changing everything.
Everything's changing.
And you're finding ways that you can do things.
He's weird, but he gets
See
good
my shirt?
rating. He gets good ratings, Mike.
I'm what's stupid.
Was that one you got over at Lavasse's law office? Let's
no.
not get into that.
No, that's why I didn't want you to have me sit on that side of him.
Oh,
Because I don't think he's stupid. You know?
well, you did the budgets when you were on the board, so you know about this process.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to it. You got to put a lot of time in when you're, being chairman of the board when I was there. I mean, you have to be involved in everything to know what's going on.
That's why they should be making more money, I think.
Well, it's not.
It's a different issue, but I agree with you.
Like in Massachusetts, I mean, in
Lot of
Massachusetts, I think some of the aldermen there, they get $60,000-$70,000,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez. My ex-girlfriend, I was running for state rep in 2014, and she lives in Los Angeles. Says, "Oh, John, I knew you'd find yourself." And I keep saying, "Lisa, no," because she keeps going on and on. Lisa, it's not California. You don't get assemblyman gets $98,000 and has 2 offices in the district. Says you get $100 a year.
But look at you,
And she
Alderman
says,
of Ward
"What?"
13 now. Yeah.
I won't say, there was a certain politician I once asked, "Why don't you run for state rep?" And he said,
Well, most people do it.
"State rep is
most
not."
people do it to
Get their feet
give
wet.
something back to the community and think that you go there and you see if you can make a difference.
Yeah.
And like I told a lot of guys, you can have a great idea, but you still need 8 to 10 votes in order to make that idea come a reality.
It ain't easy
you gotta
getting
We're talking
elected.
about, the Board of Aldermen. But I agree with
That's a tough
Gonzo
one.
that I never realized till I covered it how important local politics is. We
Right.
only have 2 minutes left, but your vote for your alderman and school board member is probably going to impact you more but till recently, the President of the United States, that was an important one. Mike, you got a minute and a half if you want to wind up.
Well, the only thing I can say is that we've did our job as a charter commission. We complied with state law. We presented something to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, made recommendations to them. There's 4 questions that I'd like to see on the ballot, and it'd be up to the aldermen to decide those 4 questions, either going on the ballot or whatever they decide is in their in their court, so to speak. So I hope that they would take this under consideration. The work has been done.
It'd be a letdown, though, if it didn't go your way.
Well, life
He gets
is
the last
full
one.
of surprises.
That's right. And on that, we'll address this issue again, Mike, in the near future. Thank you, and see you next week.
Great job.